All right. Greetings, everybody. What's going on? This your girl Tiffany coming through right here live in effect. And today I am going to be dealing with the topic about a story of a young man straight out of Queen, New York, who was killed in 1986 on December 20th. And the next day it was reported on the 21st. So this story is about Michael Griffith, who happened to be a 23-year-old who was killed by a white mob at Howard Beach. So before I go into his life and his story, I want to go ahead and share a quote from this book right here. I want to share a quote from this book in Yassasem. All right. And this is the volume 2 written by Baba Baruti himself. So please make sure if you guys ain't never read Baba Baruti's book, go ahead and do so. All right. So I'm going to share a quote out this book. And one of the quotes that he uses is George Washington Carver. Well, no. Before I go there, I'm going to read. It says, when it comes to individuals who work for our liberation, empowerment, and sovereignty, the relationship between giver and receiver is political as well as spiritual. All of those involved in these relationships should express a natural reciprocal sense of accountability towards each other, which is directly reflected in their work. And this includes money because there is a spirit that comes with it, and any other form of currency which assists in establishing a stronger bond between those involved. Although this bond is intrinsic to the communalistic mentality of African tradition and well described in Nana Amos Wilson's statement that human relation exists before economic ones and provide the social foundation upon which goods and services are crafted, distributed, and consumed within a society because of the stage of destruction in African relations. In this reality, it has come to work the other way around. The capitalist system was fully functioning and operating against us in an exploitative, divisive way before we were brought into it as an active participant. So we now have to restructure our relationships along African lines so that what we need comes to reflect our interests and not our enemies. On the front line, we must develop beneficial relationships which guide our interpersonal economic activities. However, we can only do this through being honest with each other. And this only comes when we consider each other sacred and consistently honor that from, let me go back and read that again. And this comes from when we consider each other sacred and consistently honor that from the heart. All right. And the affirm said, I show respect for everyone African because I am African. All right. So it's coming from this book right here in Yassasem. So the story, again, what I'm going to talk about is the brother from New York named Michael Griffith, and he was killed by a white mob at Howard Beach in Queens. So on this day, the story had took place, but his murder happened on the 20th of December. All right, so I got some information I would like to present, and also I got a video clip that I want to show. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the information. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the website. I'm going to kind of switch it up today. All right, so as you can see, I'm going on a website called NewYorkDailyNews.com. All right. So that's a picture of Michael Griffith. A black construction worker was killed by a car on the Shore Parkway in Queens yesterday as he and two friends desperately fled a mob of white thugs wielding baseball bats. They were chased like animals through the streets, said an angry Mayor Koch, who posted a $10,000 reward and likened the incident to lynching parties that exist in the Deep South. Killed was Michael Griffith, 23, of Pacific Street, Brooklyn, who came here from Trinidad with his family 18 years ago. His badly bruised body was found at 1:03 a.m. slammed against a divider in the westbound lane of the Shore Parkway just west of Cross Bay Boulevard in the predominantly white neighborhood of Howard Beach. And it says the white guys were yelling, "Come here, nigger," said John Patterson, who saw the injured Griffith stagger past him just before he ran blindly into the parkway. Police Commissioner Benjamin Ward said Griffith was hit by a car driven by a police officer's son. Ward said the driver, identified only as a court officer, was not one of the attackers, but the investigation was continuing. So now, here is an article right here. And it says, "Scared to death, man fleeing race mob." All right. Okay. And then it goes on to say, his mother's boyfriend, Cedric Sandiford, 36, a friend, Timothy Grimes, 18, of Quincy Street, Brooklyn, and Griffin's cousin, Kurt Sylvester, 20, a Florida State University student, had driven Sylvester's car to Far Rockaway Friday night to pick up paychecks at a construction site where Griffith and Sandiford worked. They were on their way back to Brooklyn about 9 p.m. when the car broke down on Cross Bay Boulevard, 3 miles north of the Rockaway Toll Plaza, an isolated section near Gateway National Park. All right, and then it goes on to say, went for water. Sylvester stayed in the car as the others went back to the toll plaza for water for the radiator. The water didn't help. Sylvester remained with the car as the others walked north on Cross Bay Boulevard to the Howard Beach Business District. The three were spotted by Dean Lewis, 23, of East New York, as he came out of the Blue Fountain Diner at 160th Avenue and Cross Bay Boulevard with his girlfriend and another couple. "I yelled to them that you don't want to be walking in this neighborhood at night, especially if you are black," says Lewis, who reported that he saw a burgundy colored car pass the three friends. "Someone inside yelled nigga at them," Lewis said. Now, these were the guys who were involved in his murder, okay? These 4 guys were involved in his murder. And it goes on to say, 3 blocks north of the diner, about 12:40 a.m., the 3 walked into the New Park Plaza shop on Cross Bay Boulevard at 157th Avenue. While they were in the shop, someone reported to the police that 3 suspicious male blacks were inside. A squad car from the 106th precinct arrived, but police were told by an employee that the 3 men were simply having a meal. The cops left. The 3 were confronted outside the shop by a gang of 9 to 12 white youths armed with baseball bats and hunks of wood. Ward said the thugs shouted, "What are you doing in this neighborhood, niggers?" and then began beating them. Grimes was struck once and fled east on 156th Avenue, a block from the pizza parlor, and escaped. Griffith and Sandiford ran across the boulevard, made their way behind some shops to 156th Avenue, and then ran west. The gang gave chase, some on foot and some in cars, catching them at 85th Street and 156th Avenue. There, Griffith and Sandiford, who needed several stitches on his head and was bruised on the arm, the face, and legs, ran west in the eastbound lane. Griffith dashed across the highway where he was fatally struck by a westbound car. Police said an imitation .32 caliber pistol and Griffith's phone beeper were found near him, but it was not clear whether the gun was his. Now, that's a picture of him and his friend. So this is Griffith on the left, and that's his friend. And it goes on to say, Wards said that the attackers could face manslaughter charges. Another law enforcement source said that the stiffest possible charge probably would be second-degree manslaughter, punishable by up to 5 to 15 years in prison with no mandatory minimum sentences. Koch telephoned Griffith's grieving mother, Jean, last night and vowed to do whatever has to be done to catch the people who did this to my son. Mrs. Griffith said. Her son's death is the third racially motivated incident in Howard Beach in the last year, Ward said. One attack involved whites who beat a black man, and the other involved a white man who was attacked by blacks. And goes on to say, Captain Daniel Bromberg, head of the police department's anti-bias unit, said 2 Hispanic youth also were beaten by a gang of whites a short distance away in South Ozone Park about the same time as the attack on Griffith. And Bromberg said the incidents were unrelated. One of the youths, Rafael Gonzalez, 19, of Albemarle Road, Flatbush, was listed in stable condition last night at Jamaica Hospital with a possible concussion. His friend, Greg Torres, 15, refused medical treatment. Gonzalez's uncle, Rosendo Felipe of Flatbush, said his nephew and Torres had attended a church dance at St. Teresa's Church in South Ozone Park and had stopped for pizza at a shop on Liberty heading home. As they came out the shop, a gang of white youths began calling them spats and beat them with bats, Bromberg said. All right, so this was an original story that took place. It came from, it says, originally published by Daily News on December 21st, 1986. This story was written by Robert Gertie and Donald Gentile. All right. So that was the story of the young man who was killed in New York. And let's go to the Wikipedia source. Okay. So right here. Let's go right here to the Wikipedia source. Now, it says 2 days after the event, 3 local teenagers were arrested and charged with second-degree murder on December 21st, 1987. They were convicted of manslaughter for Griffith's death. In total, 9 people were convicted of charges related to Griffith's death. And so it goes on to talk about the arrest. Griffith's death provoked strong outrage and immediate condemnation by then Mayor of New York City, Ed Koch, who referred to the case as the number 1 case in the city. 2 days after the event on December 22nd, 3 local teenagers, John Lester, Scott Kern, and Jason Ladone, students at John Adams High School, were arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The driver of the car that struck Griffith, 24-year-old Dominique Bullon, was not charged with any crime. A May 1987 grand jury returned no criminal charges against him. All right, so and here it goes through the legal process. The Griffin family, as well as Cedric Sadaford, retained the services of Alton H. Maddox and C. Vernon Mason, two attorneys who would become involved in the Tawana Brawley affair the following year. Maddox raised the ire of the NYPD and Commissioner Benjamin Ward by accusing them of trying to cover up facts in the case and aid the defendants. After witnessing repeatedly refused to cooperate with Queens DA John J. Santucci, Governor of New York State Mario Cuomo appointed Charles Haynes, special prosecutor, to handle the Griffin case on January 13th of 1987. The move came after heavy pressure from Black leaders on Cuomo to get Santucci, who was seen as too partial to the defendants, to prosecute the case effectively, off the case. All right, so what I'm going to do is, once I get done reading this part right here, the new indictment and verdict, then I'm going to play a video. Okay, so it says new indictments. 12 defendants were indicted by a grand jury on February 9, 1987, including the original 3 charged in the case. Their original indictments had been dismissed after the witnesses refused to cooperate in the case. Verdicts. After a lengthy trial and 12 days of jury deliberation, the 3 main defendants were convicted on December 21st, 1987 of manslaughter, a little over a year after the death of Griffith. Kern, Lester, and Ladon were convicted of second-degree manslaughter, and Michael Perron, 18, was acquitted. Ultimately, 9 people would be convicted on a variety of charges related to Griffith's death. And it says on January 22nd, 1988, John Lester was sentenced to 10 to 30 years imprisonment. On February 5th, Scott Kern was sentenced to 6 to 18 years imprisonment. And on February 11, 1988, John Ladon received a sentence of 5 to 15 years imprisonment. So now there's some references at the bottom of the page, as you can see. Black man dies after beating by whites in Queens. Then you got all the way down at the bottom, it says batsman convicted of Howard Beach hate crimes. All right. So let's go ahead and get to the video. Hold on for one moment, because I forget to do this every time. Okay, here we go. All right.
A mob of whites attacking 3 black men. Bob Fall has our report.
In sorrow and anger, dozens of blacks massed in the white middle-class neighborhood of Howard Beach to mourn the death of Michael Griffith, a 23-year-old construction worker. He and 2 friends, marooned in this area late Friday night when their car broke down, were chased by about 10 white youths wielding bats and sticks. Trying to escape on this expressway, Griffith was hit by a car and killed.
Statements were made that niggers, you're in the wrong neighborhood, you don't belong in this neighborhood, get out of here. My own feelings about this is that it's nothing less than a lynching.
Police, who blanketed Howard Beach this weekend, today announced the arrest of 4 area residents, ages 16 and 17, in what New York's mayor calls the worst murder in the modern era of this city.
To have it happen in New York City, unbelievable that it could happen.
But the fact is, it did happen here, just as racial harassment has been reported this year in South Philadelphia. on Cleveland's east side, on the west side of Chicago. It is shocking but should not be surprising, says the prize-winning author of A Chronicle of Racism in Boston.
We still are going to have to grapple for many years to come with communities which wish to exclude the other.
In Howard Beach, residents bristle when accused of lawlessness, but concede there is an invisible boundary line here which blacks should not cross.
Some of the white people in this neighborhood, the first thing they think when they see blacks is that they don't want them in this neighborhood and for this neighborhood to start filling up with colored people.
It is that attitude which outraged blacks today condemned and vowed to challenge.
We're here because it is our God-given right to be here. And not one killing, 2 killings, 3 killings, or 100 killings are going to stop us from going where we want to go.
Police say more charges are likely in the incident, which not only illustrates hatred here, but which also serves as a reminder that America still has boundaries which can be crossed only at peril. Bob Fall, CBS News, New York.
The office you're with again?
Yes, my name is Dave Walker, and I'm representing the Center for Law and Social Justice of Medgar College.
Okay, and let me just back up a little bit here. Again, looking back on what happened here, what's the first thing that comes into your mind about this incident that took place in Howard Beach?
Well, it's a shame that something like this is still happening in 1986. If you think back, we just finished up with the Willie Turks incident. We filled up with Spencer. There was an incident of 3 hospital workers, VA workers, the Bronx, Staten Island. It seems like there's no end to the races in this city or in this country, you know.
Is the Howard Beach area an area where something like this has taken place before?
Well, yes, from what we understand and an investigation that we have conducted, there's been a number of incidents out there. And I'm just wondering if these people who were apprehended by the police were part of the group that assaulted the other members of the black community out there. I wonder if there's any ties in that.
You said that, it's hard to believe it's happening in 1986. Other people have said similar things, that it goes right back to the attitudes that were during slavery and other times.
Yes, it goes way back.
Just wait till the truck passes you there. It's a little louder than you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, it goes way back, you know. Sometimes it makes you think that we're going back to the 1950s again.
Well, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel disgusted. You know, when you serve time in the service, fighting for this country, you pay your taxes, and then you're told you can't walk in certain areas because you're a different color than what's out there.
Hopefully enough publicity would stop this, you think?
I hope so. I think it was a good thing what the commissioner did and what Koch did by putting up the reward and by increasing the number of detectives assigned to this case. I think that was a very good move. I want to compliment them on that. But somewhere along the line, this has to stop.
Sure. Thanks. Let me just.
We're hoping for at least 30 or maybe a little bit more of cars.
Okay, do you think there'll be, I'm just going to talk for a second. Do you think when everybody shows up that there might be a confrontation? I know there was some talk about that earlier. I hope not, but...
No, we don't expect any confrontation. We'll be taking children out there, women, and when you're going to, say a demonstration like this, you don't want to be taking women and children, if you're looking for a confrontation. So we're hoping that everybody will go there and conduct themselves in an intelligent way.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Let me get your name first of all.
Akbar.
Akbar?
Yes, that's AKBAR.
Okay.
Yes.
And about the incident that happened in Howard Beach.
I beg your pardon?
But talking about the incident that happened in Howard Beach.
Yes.
What comes to mind as soon as you think about it?
Well, I think it's very much racist. It's a shame to know that in 1986 in America, that there's such intense racism amongst the youngsters. I mean, the people who beat them up were very young. That's very sad to know. That, huh?
No, what's everybody in the neighborhood here saying?
Well, we're really, I think most of the people are very frightened to know that right here in New York City, I mean, it's hard to believe that right here in New York City, there would be such intense racism and such physical violence. Yeah. So that's basically, I would say, the thoughts that are, going on now. That's
any talk of revenge or doing anything about it? Or?
Well, there's very few things that the civilians can do, except for speak about it. I think this is really something that the politicians must take on, and the police must take on, and the judicial system should take on. Yeah, I think it's really up to them to see to it that the guys are brought to justice.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thoughts on what happened there, I'd imagine.
Yes, I do.
Can you share those with me?
Well, I think what's happened is tragic, and I think it's an awful thing to be happening in New York City.
A lot of people say it takes us right back to the 50s, where everyone started from.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it takes us farther back than the 50s. And, I was in World War II, and we fought to preserve New York City as well as the rest of the country. And I think we all have a right. Howard Beach, Bedford Stuyvesant, Harlem, wherever. Doesn't matter.
When you think about it, what's your gut reaction to it immediately?
Well, I think the law has to take it from here.
But I mean, the gut reaction on how it made you feel when you read about it the next day in the paper.
Or I really don't know how I felt. I really felt disturbed about it. And I'm just hoping that they're brought to justice. That's about it.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
Cliff Joyner.
Okay, thanks. Your last name?
Velasquez.
Velasquez. Okay. What do you think about what happened in Howard Beach?
It was something, I know. Well, to me, that sounds kind of good, I mean, it sounds difficult. And but the family, they...
You know the family?
Moderation, I don't know, it probably don't
I feel that it was racism, how you call it, against the blacks. They didn't want the black in the neighborhood. So when they saw him in the neighborhood, they thought he was out there trying to mug somebody or trying to rob somebody.
No, but he was.
But he was really an honest, guy, a working guy, a hardworking guy. He wasn't out there to rob people.
You know Michael Griffith?
No, I didn't know him. I seen him around because his little sister or somebody used to go into the center.
Did you know him? You know Michael Griffith? Yeah. He's not the kind of guy that would look for trouble.
Well, the only way he'll start trouble if you look for trouble. That's the only way. But I think it's a loss, that happened, but there's nothing we can do about it right now.
To make you angry about what happened?
Yes, very.
We do.
What's the name of this?
Well, there's a lot of talk. I can't say what it is, but there's a lot of talk about, what happened. But like I said, like other people say around here, we got more rights. Everybody got rights to go wherever they please, because this, as I said, this is America. This is a free country. So.
Reverend Al Sharpton, President of National Youth Movement.
About what happened today, before we get into the motorcade, just looking back on what happened in Howard Beach, what was your gut feeling on that?
It was shocking, but there has been a growing white backlash around America. We've seen KKK members training in Indiana and in Connecticut. We saw the Dwight Gooden incident. We've seen several things in the forecast. Now, in the biggest metropolis in the world, a black kid is dead because of the color of his skin. We don't know who hit him, but we know who put the stick in his hand. American society has gone backwards. But we're going to Howard Beach today to say you can turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We're not running no more. The days of Jim Crow is over, and we're going to affirm that by going and having pizza where Michael had his last meal.
Okay. Well, your gut reaction, I mean, was it anger?
My gut reaction was
disbelief or what?
My gut reaction was disbelief and shock. Then it grew into anger, but then it grew into an understanding that maybe we haven't finished organizing yet. Maybe we have not finished the task that Dr. King and others have laid.
That was the news coverage back in 1986. All right. What's very interesting to me is when there's an incident such and you have a news reporter coming up to you asking you, well, how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel? What is your thought on this? What is your thought on that? And you're sort of irritated, and especially as a Black person, you got a white news reporter or somebody else from a racial background coming up to you asking you, well, how does it feel? And what do you think should be done in America? It's like you already know the answer. You already know what the answer is. You already know the answer to what should be done in America, but what you want to do is you want to hear the same people. You want to hear people saying it over and over again. So it's like you listen to the same old tune. It's like you listen to the same old boring song, right? So anytime there's police brutality or injustice, there's always some reporter, particularly a white reporter, come up to somebody Black asking, well, what do you think should be done about the injustice? Well, how do you feel about it? How else am I supposed to feel? And we've been saying it over and over again. Well, what else do you want us to say? What else do you want us to say? I'll tell you the same thing that I've been saying before. Dismantle the system. That's what should have been done. Something should have been done in the beginning. Because if something was done, and this come down to the question of the idea of United States of America. Boy, I love it when I hear, especially our own people, talking about we are a part of the United States of America. As a people, we are united. United in what way? United in what way? What it makes you question, what is United States of America? What does it mean to be united? What does it mean to be united? United how? In what case? What is United States of America? Because if you're talking about being united, we wouldn't keep dealing with the crisis that we're dealing with, or what we have been going through for the past centuries, decades. So where is the United States of America? You had these two white supremacists, Trump and Biden. Now, one white supremacist is mad because another white supremacist is about to come in and take over. And he's trying to overturn this country just so he won't be forced out the office, so that other white supremacists won't come in. So where's the United States of America? Where's the United States of America? All right, so real fast, you guys. I'm going to play another clip of the video where they have the trial. And this trial took place around 1987, but let's go ahead. All right, then hold on, give me a second. Let's share this video. All right, so here's the trial.
So as we have reported now, the long trial over. You're looking at live pictures now at the state Supreme Court in Queens. The jury reaching a verdict this evening. We expect that announcement shortly. Their verdict will be announced as we have it. Sarah Wallace, you are now looking at the defense attorneys in that case. Sarah Wallace is also in that courtroom. We will have a live report from the Queens Courthouse once she is able to come outside and tell us what's going on. Gabriel Leone, as a live picture right now that we're showing to you from the state Supreme Court. He is a defendant in the case. We are going to have a live report from Sarah Wallace as she reports that to us momentarily. We are taking live pictures now. It has been a long day. It has been a long 11 and a half days. Jurors have spent the first anniversary of the Howard Beach racial attack yesterday focusing on the beating of a black man who survived that incident. We understand that the verdict is being read at this point, and we are going to be standing live for that announcement as it is made available to us with our reporter on the scene. We certainly expect a lot of reaction to this story. It has been a controversial trial for some time, and we expect to have more on the story as it develops. We will have a complete report during halftime this evening, coming up during the Monday Night Football, and also a full report as we conclude our broadcast day at the end of Monday Night Football. And so once again, as we repeat to you, we are giving you information as it is available to us. We had reported that Judge DeMarcus consented, as we reported, to allow the cameras in his courtroom for this moment, the reading of the verdict. And so we do not have any microphones there. What we have are live pictures, no sound of the actual event. We're going to come back to you live with more once it is available to us, with Sarah Wallace reporting from Queens. I'm Ernie Anastas. We'll be back shortly.
By the highest courts in New York State, which will permit our cameras to show you this picture. However, we are not allowed to take any photos of the jury, nor are we allowed to have any microphones in the courtroom.
All right, Mike,
apparently, the verdict for Kern has now been given. And Mary, you can see, I suppose, on the monitor there,
yes,
that at this point we're about to see John Lester's sentencing as well.
Yes, John Lester is 18 years old. He is also charged with murder in the second degree, manslaughter, attempted murder of Cedric Sandiford, assault 1 and 2, conspiracy, inciting riot. His mother is from England. She has also been in the courtroom every day. Lester is the only one of the 4 defendants who did not go home every night during this trial. He has spent the last year practically on Rikers Island. Shortly before his arrest, he had been caught with a gun. He pleaded guilty to weapons possession, and he was supposed to get probation. But when he got in trouble and he was arrested, the judge sentenced him on the weapons possession charge. He went to Rikers Island for 1 to 3 years. So he is the only defendant who has not gone home.
Mary,
we do have the first verdict right now.
Go ahead, please.
Scott Kern. On murder in the second degree, he is not guilty. On manslaughter, Scott Kern is guilty. Attempted murder in the second degree of Cedric Sandiford, not guilty. Assault in the first degree of Cedric Sandiford, guilty. Assault in the second degree for Cedric Sandiford, not guilty. Riot in the first degree, not guilty. Assault in the second degree of Cedric Sandiford, not guilty. And finally, the fifth count, the last count, conspiracy, Scott Kern is guilty.
Mary, you've been watching this trial from day one. What kind of inference do you draw from what the jury has brought back? Any reflection upon that? Short notice, I realize.
They found that Scott Kern was not guilty of murder in the second degree. Apparently, they do not feel that he showed depraved indifference to human life, but apparently they simply disregarded the life of Michael Griffith when he joined with the other youths in the chase last December 19th.
In terms of his role in this incident, where does he stand? What is he accused? You can see John Lester sitting down right now. Apparently, he too has heard his fate pronounced.
Apparently now the third defendant is standing up, Jason Ladone. He is 17 years old. He is charged with manslaughter. He's not charged with murder. In terms of Scott Kern's role, there was a turnaround witness in this case, 18-year-old Robert Riley. Riley admitted his guilt. He said that he was part of the gang that night, and he said that he joined with these 4 other youths and chased Michael Griffith to the barrier of the Bell Parkway at 90th Street. In return for Riley's testimony, he was allowed to plead guilty to assault. Now, he may only get probation. He could get a maximum, though, of 4 years in prison for his cooperation. Now, in terms of Scott Kern's role, Riley said that Scott Kern took a bat outside the New Park Pizza Parlor, slammed that bat on the ground and said, "Niggers, get out of our neighborhood." That's Riley's testimony.
All right, Mary, I have to interrupt you right here because we do have to break away. I should assure our viewers, however, we'll be coming back as soon as the extra verdicts come in now. We're waiting for the verdicts on John Lester, who apparently has already been sentenced, in addition to the other defendants, Jason Ladone and Michael Perone after that. And as soon as we have that information for you, we will be getting that information to you directly. As I say, we have pictures of the courtroom. However, under New York State's experimental cameras in the courtroom plan that's underway right now.
that was the verdict. And the names they called out, those were the two guys that was involved in that murder. So, with that being said, you all, I want to leave you guys with this thought. And going back to the initial question, have you ever sat back and asked yourself, what is a United States of America? What does it mean to be united in America? What does it mean to be united? What is a United States? What does united looks like in America? If you have not ever asked those questions regarding to United States, you may want to ask it now, especially in a time like this where we dealing with those who fighting for position of power. You may want to ask, what does the United States of America look like? And question the future of the United States of America. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching, for tuning in. And it's your girl, Tiffany. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, you need to go ahead and do so. Make sure you hit that notification bell when I come on. Make sure you share the channel. Make sure you like it, all that great stuff. And if you want to go ahead and send something to the Cash App information, it's on the bottom of the screen. It's scrolling, so go ahead and send something if you want to, if you feel like you want to make a contribution. But other than that, I thank you all for watching as usual, and I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys' support a lot. And I thank and shout out to the new subscribers on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate that. I am very grateful for that. This channel is growing, and it's going to continue to grow. So I'm really working at it. So yeah, it's a lot more to come, but it's growing. And I see that. And I really want to thank you all for being an active participant on this channel. I really do. And shout out to those in the chat room. Thank you guys in the chat for coming in and sliding through. I really appreciate that. All right. So anyways, my YouTube link is Tiffany L. French. Jamal, it's Tiffany L. French. That's my YouTube link, Tiffany L. French. All right. But anyways, you guys, thank you all for tuning in, and I will reconnect with you guys later. So please be safe. Be careful out here with this pandemic. I don't know what it's going to take for some of you to really understand that this shit is real, that it's no joke. Now, although they got the vaccine out, but still be careful and don't be so quick to take the vaccine as of yet. Don't be so quick to take it as of yet. All right? So be careful. If you do decide, be careful. You might want to do some research. You might want to look up the information about it. But until then, take it easy on yourself, all right? And be happy and be grateful. And stay focused. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is the essence. Until next time, deuces, and I'll talk to you all later.